Hey everybody, this is Brian.
And this is Josh.
If you listened last week, we were in the middle of a conversation with Erin and Jill of Two Small Coins, and here we go with part 2. Now I have to.
You had an idea. You had an idea to go with part 2.
Yeah, here's part 2.
We don't need any music or
No,
anything.
we don't. No.
No.
He's always trying to take away my music. I worked hard on that.
Well, I'm like, we don't need to waste a minute. We might as well just talk to the people.
Well, we've wasted 30 seconds now. You and me debating about the music.
Right.
It was entertaining.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
For that. So where we left the conversation before, we were talking about kind of what happens around like holidays and things. Now, I think there's awareness around, hey, it's Thanksgiving, hey, it's Christmas, and those things kind of, everybody gets busy in their own stuff. There are those personal moments as well where there's, like you might not know a birthday, you might not know the first date, you might not know that. I think I saw something where like you want to have those touch points with those people on those days, because there's probably time that you wouldn't even know would be needed if you didn't know them. But tell us about why that's a meaningful thing, those small things that are happening throughout the year.
Yeah, I think, when you're married to someone, you're sharing so much, right? And you've got memories and you've got dates and you've got, like you said, your first date, or they build on each other, and you don't realize sometimes how many of those you have until a person's gone. And I think it is nice to be able to share with people even those smaller days or those smaller memories. Or now you have the iPhones and Facebook and things that pull up memories for you. So maybe it's a normal day, but they've just triggered and pulled up a memory for you. And,
right.
I think one of the greatest gifts people give me through grief as a friend is to say, tell me about Christian. Whether they, if they didn't know him. Now we live in a new state where none of my friends knew him, but I love it when people want to know him still, because that keeps him alive for me and for my kids. And that's a gift for sure.
Yeah, and we just want to kind of make sure that the widow who's going through her grief understands that it's okay if, your wedding anniversary, or, I know, like my sister is the type of person who can hold every date in her head. She remembers the day that all of my grandparents passed away. She remembers every date of everything, and I'm not great with that. So but your own personal date is always going to be a big day for you.
Right.
And we want to make sure that, again, we provide that comfort of knowing, like, okay, we see you. We know that this day is special for you, even though if it's just a random Wednesday for the rest of the world, it still matters to you, and that means that it's important.
Sure. So, can you tell us a little bit about, like, your actual, like your nonprofit, like Two Small Coins? I know you're telling us now, like, what you're doing and everything like that, but are you guys, like, how many of you are there that work? Are you just the two of you, bootstrapping this up right now and getting it going? Or are you enlisting family and friends? How are you doing this?
That's a very good question.
Some of both.
Well, that's what Brian and I do with this. So this is great though.
Yeah. We're very new. We're in the first year of
right.
this. We're official. We're a 501c3. But it is just Jill and I. We have 2 board members who are from our widow support group here. So we've got a really solid group of women who have walked this journey that are pooling our resources to run this. And yeah, we're in the midst of fundraising, volunteer raising.
We put our idea for the Hope Stockings just out into the world, and we had a community member jump on it, and she hosted like a sewing shower.
Oh,
and
great.
There were maybe 12 ladies who brought their little sewing machines, and we brought fabric, and we cut, and they sewed all night, and I think we're up to like 140 stockings right now that have already been sewn.
Okay.
And it was important to us. We wanted to have them be handmade, like special made for you for when the widow opens it. So that part of the initiative is going strong. We just started fundraising just last month. That's going fairly well. So for right now, it's us. We're going out and talking to churches, and we just spoke to our local county school counselors just to let them know that we're here as a resource if they have a family in their school that needs us. And we have lots of other big plans.
Right. So you're touching a lot of different things right now, but you're really focused on the stockings, which is great.
Yes.
How can, I know like we'll touch on this later, but how can people like me and Brian help you? Like, would monetary donation be the best thing, or because we don't live near each other? So, what if somebody's listening to this wants to help? What's their best way to help?
Yeah, I think for us, prayer and thinking about the widows that are here now, and the ones that are still yet to come. And that's something we always have in our mind, that there are widows here to support now, and there's always going to be new ones. So just bathing those people in prayer already is always the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is monetary donations are super helpful. As we gather the items that we've picked to go in each stocking, with Christmas coming, that's a big push right now. What else would you say?
And I think what we love about the stockings is that even if you're not local to us here, we can still provide a stocking anywhere.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I was going to actually ask that. Like, are you guys?
Yes, we will ship to wherever they need to go. Our mission is really just to bring comfort on Christmas morning to as many widows as we can.
And I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Right now, the stockings cost $100 for each stocking. So if you wanted to buy a stocking for a widow, it would be a $100 donation. What else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, our goal is to send 100 this year. We have over 100 made of stockings. It just depends on how much fundraising we can do and how many we can stuff.
And obviously, it's not just a 1-year thing. Like, you guys are going to do this every year, so it's not like going to go to waste on anything.
It's not going to go to waste, absolutely. Right. And yeah.
So let's talk about what fits into a stocking. It'd be great if you could fit a new car into a stocking, but not quite the key.
Yeah.
I tried, Brian. She said no.
It was a little much. If we could, that'd be great.
Let's talk about like small business owners, or talk about big businesses, right? We don't have to talk about that. The people that make goods and things that you can put into a stocking, right? Tell us what makes a good stocking stuffer. If you say, like, I have things that could contribute, what are the types of items that you think would be most meaningful to fill these stockings with?
Yes, that's a very good question.
That's a good question. Right now we have picked certain things that we're definitely putting in from that we feel like support a widow in their grief, and they have been things that have been supportive to us. Like, we have a very specific devotional book that we want in everyone that is actually not for grief, the technical book, but man, does it speak to you when you're grieving. It was a life-saving tool for me. Yeah.
I would say if it speaks to you when you're grieving, it's for grief.
It's worth, 100%.
That's what it is.
Right.
So.
And we have also picked out a very specific necklace that is made by an artist, I believe, in Nashville. And the heart behind it is for widows. And the story behind it is to kind of provide a message of God has more for you Like, your life is not over just because your person is no longer here. So that's another piece that we want to make sure goes into every step.
Did you say they're based in Nashville?
I think so.
I think she is, now that you say that.
It's called the Yes Necklace.
Yes. Okay, I'll do some research here. See if I
Yeah.
Okay.
Do some research. I can't
Brian
remember
knows
her
a
name,
lot
but
of
she
people.
is
You'd be surprised who he knows up there.
I got a guy.
she's a Christian musician.
Yeah.
Correct?
He may actually know her at that point.
What's the name?
Yeah.
Her name is Holly. I don't know more than
All right.
that.
Well, Holly, if you're listening to this podcast, or if you are Holly's friend,
Yes.
please contact me through.
Please contact us. Yeah, the story is beautiful.
Great.
Her
It is.
website and story of why she created this is beautiful.
Wonderful.
So
Yeah.
would it be, I mean, I like, so the whole point of the stocking obviously is support, but it's also a real thing of hope, right? It's so people aren't so depressed, because the holidays is difficult for almost, I would think any grown person has some kind of trauma associated with the holiday, whether it's good or bad. But
Yeah.
it's really a story of hope, right? Like, you want to
Yeah.
let these people know they're supported, they're not forgotten. And that's the
Yeah.
real thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's our tagline, bringing hope to
Right.
the widowed.
right.
Yep.
And yeah, I did read that. That's why I kind of like,
Mhm.
I've been trying to catch up on like Jill's stuff on her blog and everything. I've been reading it throughout the years, kind of on and off, but like your new entry was really good. Jill does a blog. It's really good. We'll put it in the show notes. We'll put Two Small Coin stuff in the show notes. But could you tell us a little more about that, like giving the hope to people and why that's so important?
Yes. We've been working the last few weeks on our like actual business plan. So if you're a business person, don't be stressed that we are still working on that even after we have incorporated it. But one of the pieces within that is to figure out your needs analysis and why your services are so needed. And I will say that everyone we've spoken to about what it is we're doing has said, yes, this is needed. This is not out there. There's not resources for widows. And in doing some of the research to figure out the needs analysis, just the statistics of, I don't know the right word. The statistics for health for somebody who has become widowed are depressing in and of themselves.
Right.
And I think it's because a lot of times you'd have all that support real early on, and then it goes away,
Sure.
and you are still left with this big grief that you don't know what to do with.
And I think hope, the reason we put that as our focus is that I think hope is something that can keep you going. And we're looking for little tokens, little tidbits that it's like, you are not alone in this, so that you can have a little bit of hope of getting through, getting to the other side.
Right. Because it's about making it through it, but then also coming out the other end and not just being a shell of a person. Like you want to, you have to be there for you if you have kids, even if you don't have kids, but it's it's difficult. So you want to be
building a life on the other end of it,
right?
Right.
At some
it's
point,
like your life's not over.
Well,
which is part of that yes necklace story. Like, say yes to life. Like you've got more on this earth to do, and keep going.
And I think
we've cheer you on and support you.
And I think we've all had bad stuff happen. And like sometimes I think some people, like, it's not even like a why me feeling, but it's like why did this happen? Right. You know, and you have to kind of like come to, that's part of the process too, like grieving through change, and people don't like change anyway. And then you throw a change that is like, it's never going to be the same. So I think that when you give people hope, you're telling them, look, you know what hope is. This is the hope for a better future for you and for your life, because it's not, like you said, it's not over. And I think that's really important to let people work on that, because I do think even in the broader society, like, people don't touch on these topics. And they're always like, oh yeah, go to therapy and you talk to somebody, and for, your hour a week or hour a month, whatever you can afford. But, then you have a support group of people, like you guys have gone through not the exact same trauma, but a shared trauma where you have something in common. So I think it's important for that resource to be available for people. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and we're working to build a mentor program and a coaching program for widows, that widows further down the road are helping widows who are
That's what I was going to
just
ask.
starting out.
Like what was because we've kind of really touched on the stockings, which is great, and we're telling what you're doing right now, but what was the future? And so you're saying you're looking at in the future like a mentorship program. So were you thinking like a one, like you guys like actually like get together one-on-one and mentor each other, or are you thinking of online kind of things, or what are you? I mean, I guess this could branch out to be infinitely large. So
Right. We're thinking of all of it.
We are. Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. All the things. We hope that you will teach us how to run a podcast.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll tell you what, the thing is that's like Brian and I, like we actually are starting to build, like we should have done this at the beginning, like more like where you guys are at, but because it wasn't such a big thing, building the community that is already, the people you're already touching, loop them into a community aspect, like a closed community with you guys. So like if you have a Discord or something where you can get together and just talk, and you know, you can do voice, video, or just text, because sometimes, you know, let's say you're like on this context, let's say you're grieving, you might not want somebody to see you on video, you know.
Right.
You might not want someone to hear your voice, like the quivering in your voice or whatever,
Right.
but you don't mind texting somebody or you know, talking like that. So I think that to have the options available to people and the ways to communicate are good, and it's great for a community to have that. So that's, like I said, that's something Brian and I we're kind of playing catch up on now, but and I've got some help with some friends, and Brian's talked to some people, but yeah, you need as many people as you can to help you out. So him and I have no problem helping you guys. So
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate it.
In the spirit of help me help you, help me help you in that situation.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that, you know, you're kind of in the early stages of doing not-for-profit work. And I think that just hearing both your hearts on what this personally means to you, and also what it practically means to offer hope to others in need, right? A question I had earlier was this, like, you know, how do you make money after, you know, in this, I mean, you don't lack for things to do and stuff like that. So in this transition phase, obviously, like, to give to this mission is where you guys are headed. In the interim, how can do you guys work for yourselves? Are you self-employed? How can other people hire you and see you for other things that you can bring to a table?
Oh, I love that question. We've talked about that a little. Erin is our president because she is kind of full-time, 2 small coins, building our community, making our appointments. She tells me when to be places, and I am there. I am still kind of working full-time in my regular job as well. But one thing that we are passionate about, and especially Erin, I'll let her talk more about it, but she is an artist, and she can lead like art therapy grief groups. We would really love to be able to start offering that as a service for different groups, whether it's church groups or companies. I'll let you maybe talk more about that.
Yeah, my background is in life coaching and art therapy, and I think that's where my heart is coming from, of the mentoring program, the coaching program, and running groups for people. And like you said, in all platforms, online, local. I mean, heck, I'll travel. I love to travel. I'll go anywhere.
right.
Italy, do you hear me calling?
Give you a plane ticket, you're there. Yep.
I'm there. Yes. I am there. I will see you there. Yeah, I think we want to be a voice in the world, that grief can be talked about, right? Grief and healing and hope and hard things can be talked about. And I think It's important, whether that's in your company setting, whether that's in a church setting, whether that's in someone's home. I mean, I think you just feel valued when you're like, people care about what's going on in my life. And we hope to kind of open up that conversation and bring what we have to offer and our tools and our experience and teach people how to share. And a lot of people don't want to open up about their grief, and
Right.
that's okay. It's got to be on their time. That's the thing. You can't, people will send us, or tell us about a widow and we're like, hey, we're here. We will reach out, but it's got to be on their time and when they're ready to go through it.
Can I just touch on that for a little bit? Because,
Yeah.
Folks, if you didn't hear the conversation prior to hitting the record button and stuff, but, social media was, how Josh and I kind of saw what was going on in Jill's life over the years. Those people that stand in front of Instagram and ugly cry and they record themselves ugly crying and, have the Zoom just right, while the ring light's on, watch some ugly cry. Okay, those aren't the people that really need the help. Probably those people are ugly crying in the corner because they have to get an ugly cry out and put on a game face to go back to their children, right? So
Yeah.
Right.
here, the leading tip is that if you know somebody has gone through this and everything looks like everything's good, right? Don't just assume that it's good. That may be the manager face you have to put on in order to kind of get through the day, to go do the things you got to do, right? So just realize that just because of appearances, it doesn't mean that everything is okay. And I think that when people say, oh, it looks good, we're good. But this is actually stopping and saying, let me look at this differently. Or let me ask a different question about it, right?
Right.
And I also think I love that. And I think it's part of our role, now that I'm thinking about it, is teaching, I don't know if that's the right word, showing widows it's okay, or anyone grieving, it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
Like, it is okay to not have that game face on. I remember my first few months. The place that made me the most angry were the businesses, I won't mention them, that their philosophy was to be super nice to the customers. It's a great business philosophy. How are you? Welcome. How's your day going? That is a really hard question for someone who is grieving. That's a very abrupt, it's like, it is not going well. I'm here to get my beverage and move on, like, don't ask me. I don't know you.
Yeah.
But I think just us sharing and saying it's okay to be a mess. And it's also our responsibility as grievers to say, we need help. No one's going to magically know what we need. Sometimes you don't know what you need, but you just know you need things. And so you just got to be like, I don't know what I need, but I need the things. And you got to help me figure it out. Being honest about that. So it's both sides, right? It's a relationship.
Very good. You had mentioned, Jill, earlier in the podcast, like, hey, you know what? Take my children, please. It sounds like an old comedy line, right? Take my wife, please. Outside of taking children, name 2 other things that you would love somebody just to approach you with. You know what? I thought of this. I'm going to do this for you, because it takes you having to think of it in the first place. Like, what's a good thing for people just kind of tuck in the back of their mind to say, I could offer these 3 things?
And I will say that one of the things that we are working on building is we are going to start posting a whole lot of blog posts about what you can do if someone in your life is grieving. Some of these real concrete, like, hey, remember this in the future if you happen to know somebody who needs it. But I think one of our very favorite stories was one of the widows in our support group said that right after her husband passed, she had a friend who texted and said, Tuesday morning, all your laundry on your front step. Wednesday morning, it will be back, folded. And because it was done through the front step, the widow never had to be ready. She never had to engage in conversation she didn't want to. And yet the laundry was done. I think that's amazing. I think I've seen other people too who have done, now that we live in the world of DoorDash and everything.
Everything, not contactless. Yeah.
And I love it.
I know.
But, I've read stories of people who have ordered groceries for a friend 2 states away. And, what do you need from the store? I'm getting it for you. And or just send a bag of groceries.
Yeah.
One of the things that we wanted to do this past year, and we kind of ran out of time, but we hope to do in the future is, the night before Mother's Day, drop a little bag of something for mom to do with her kids the next day. Whether it be like a bunch of ice cream supplies and a movie, pancake mix and a puzzle, just something so that she doesn't have to think about what she's going to go get in order to try and create a memory with her children.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
love that.
Yep. It's a lead time thing, because I would imagine that your brain starts to engage. Oh, it's coming up on Mother's Day. I should probably start thinking about that. And then
But
you don't think about it.
in your world, you need to think about that like 7 or 8 months ahead of time. So, because if you've got 100 or more
Yeah.
people
Right.
Yes.
that you're
Yeah.
trying to do, that's a lot of coordination. And I do a lot of logistical stuff, and I know that's coordinating people is a lot like herding cats. It's a very difficult thing to do, and like, but at least when you have concrete like days, like, if like Mother's Day, Christmas,
Right.
Father's Day would be a big day, like
Yep.
all that. I mean, okay, I have to be ready here. So by this date, I have to have this ready. I need to have this. I got to have this. So I could see that, you're going to have a lot of work.
Yeah. We're ready.
Yeah, you definitely are ready. You are ready. You guys are ready. So
Let's do it.
By the way, Jill, you never did say what you did full time. So are you like contractable? Do you work for a W-2 situation? What do you do?
I wish that I could be. I actually, I write. I'm a technical writer for a corporation. So
okay.
Yeah. The goal is that Two Small Coins is our full-time job.
Yeah.
That we don't want there to be enough need for it.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Well, the reality is the need is already there.
It's
You
already
guys are
there.
just trying to
Yeah.
fill the need that's already present, and that's what.
Yeah.
You're not like creating the need; it's there.
Yeah.
So
It's there,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the goal. Yeah, I work between Two Small Coins, and I have my own
sure.
coaching practice.
Sure.
And so I think, but the goal is Two Small Coins.
Got it.
And I would say to you guys too is like take your way you guys met as like a real affirmation that the need is there, because that's
Yeah.
how you met. Now, if you can
Right.
facilitate that and kind of purposely put people together, that's
Right.
what you're trying to do, which is great, because a lot of people don't know how to reach out to people, or they know, like you said, they know somebody that's grieving, and maybe that person does want help, but they live in a place where there's nobody else.
Right.
Or, how hard it is to talk to your family about stuff like that. Like, so
Right.
it'd be great to have, somebody else talk to them, which would be one of you
Right.
guys or somebody that
Exactly.
works with you. So,
Exactly. And we love that in this day and age, technology can
right.
bridge those gaps, right?
Yeah.
Bridge the distance.
And social media, with all of its bad things, it's still good too. And so you gotta keep using, like even like you said, you send the groceries. That's that's a great thing about the internet. It's like I can go log on and send groceries to somebody that lives in California. So
Yeah.
So
also great for community.
if somebody were to fill your guys' stockings, right now you're doing this whole thing. So like, boy, besides the new car that's like in there, like, what are some of the things going like, man, I just need me some of that, because let people know what's on your guys' list of like, man, I wish somebody would just do this, or I would love this kind of thing.
Gosh, I don't know.
Take my children, please.
That's a good question. I'm like, I'll take every art supply known to man. Like, just stuff it. Like,
My mind went somewhere altogether different. I desperately need good sharp knives.
Ooh, I want plane tickets.
Oh.
We want plane tickets somewhere. Let's really
You
dream
can't bring
big.
the knives on the plane, Jill. I'm just telling you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll leave them at home because I desperately need them. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a great question. I don't, I think,
I will say the one thing that she put in my stocking last year was one of those wine glasses that you leave in the freezer.
Oh yeah, I've seen
And
those.
it's just perpetually cold. It's so good.
it's so good. It's so good.
I had a beer glass. Like
It's
that.
just ready at any moment. 9 a.m. is calling.
Suddenly.
And
I had a beer glass like that. It was actually kind of awesome until it just broke. It broke one day, but
oh, bummer. Yeah.
yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, tell us, tell the listeners and everybody how they can kind of find out more about you if they want to go search the web and do things like what's the best way for them to kind of learn what you're about and help support you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can find us online. Our website's twosmallcoins.net. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Two Small Coins Inc. And I mean, here's my cell phone is out there, 626-487-8246. Text me.
That's a bold move. That's a bold move.
But like literally, we have our our personal emails and our phone numbers.
So would the best place just be go to your website?
Go to our website.
And everything
yeah.
is indexed there for them, and they
Yes,
can get a hold of you. And
we have a lot of big plans. Again, we're just getting started, so really the best way, we did add a link now to a form to submit your widow's name for a stocking.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
But if that's too much or too confusing or you're not sure of the information, send us an email. We are more than happy to try and get directly in touch with them to kind of see where they're at and if they're ready to talk to us or if they just need a card so that they can call when they become ready.
Okay.
We really want to make it clear that we are not going to be like bombarding them, like talk about your grief,
Right.
share with us.
Right.
That's not who we want to be.
And that's not helpful, though. Yeah, because if they're not ready to receive the help,
right.
that it's just not going to be helpful.
And some of the help that we are doing, some of the services we're providing, which we're starting in our local area in Georgia, but we hope to expand everywhere, is practical stuff like my car broke down, my plumbing is off. Like we're trying to connect widows with people they can trust to get that kind of work done that you may not know the resources. And so we're looking to spread that kind of help too. So, but yeah, reach out. And I would say that's another big push other than the stockings is send, if you have someone that you want a stocking sent to, go to our website and fill out that form because we're collecting names as we speak and building our list of who's going to get a stocking this year. And it's exciting.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's put a comma here in the conversation, folks, and hopefully this won't be the last time we talk to Erin and Jill ever. And if you know somebody that could use the love, care, and support, please go to their website and put their name in, and keep hope alive, and just by doing these small things to keep that front and center. So until next time, this is Brian.
And this is Josh.
For Curiosity.
This is Erin. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, I thought you pointed to me.
No, I
Sorry.
did. I'm sorry.
He did.
We're going to pretend we edited it. Until next time, this is
Okay.
Brian.
This is Josh.
This is Erin.
And this is Jill.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Okay.
All right, mark the clip there. Should I play the theme song out, Josh? Or do you want
No,
to
don't worry about it.
All right, cool. I just marked it. Should I stop recording?
Yes, please.
All right. Josh is like, no.
Oh, wow.